Is there ever any frustration when a break comes along at a really good start to the season, or is it still important to regroup and to take stock?
Yeah, no, I think, listen, we know the calendar, so what was important was that we had a good pre-season, which then could lead us into a good start, and we've had a fantastic start. So no, mood is good and ready to go again.
Did everyone return fit and well, good to go? And I think Alistair Johnson came off, didn't he? And Greg and James didn't go with Scotland in the end. All okay?
Yes, yeah. Ali, obviously, with Jesse, they were sensible in terms of how he felt in the game and took him off and sent him back. And it was just as a precaution, really. He felt a little bit, but he had a similar going into the Rangers game as well, so we were able to protect him, and he's obviously travelled, gone away, felt a little bit of tightness in the game, so they managed him really well. So we've brought him back, and he's trained well.
As you say, you've been through this calendar many times. Is it ever an extra challenge to pick up where you left off before the break? Do you find that seamless, or can it have its challenges?
No, it's always a challenge. I think that you just have to reset everything when obviously you've spent so long with the players. We've obviously new players in that final week of the window, so you're still very early stages of the season, so you're just trying to recalibrate everything when everyone comes back in order to get that rhythm again. But as I said, the mood is really good in the team, and we set our objective really over the course of the next 6 games, and that is to be a really continue and to be a really difficult team to play against.
Can you see the benefit of the break sometimes when someone like Arnie Ingles goes away and becomes a Belgium international, and then hopefully you see the fruits of that going forward? Yeah,
but he's a very young player. It was great for him. He's obviously played a lot of games for a young player in the Bundesliga, so he was obviously on the way to a really talented Belgium squad. But it's really nice. We bring him in. He gets his cap. He gets his first sense and feel of being a Celtic player in the Rangers game, and now he's back and really motivated to do well like the others.
How important is this block then? Because this is the one obviously where Champions League football enters the equation as well.
Yeah, well, over the course of the next week we're in 3 different competitions, so all at home. But we're all excited for that. But obviously the next game mantra is still very much in our thinking.
Is this where the quality that you spoke about in the weeks before the transfer window really is put to the fore, when you have so many important games and you have that strength and depth? Is this the scenario you were talking about when you said you needed that quality in?
Yeah, I think that the strength for us over the course of the season, it's not just for now, it's a really long season. You think there's not the break that we've had for a number of years up here. There's international football for many of the players. So having that depth of squad in order to keep the rhythm, to keep the intensity, to keep the speed and the functionality of the team, that's important. So really pleased. We've done really well in the window with the players that we brought in. Really happy with that. But we still want to improve going forward, but the players we'll bring in will improve, make them better, and the squad's looking strong.
Still early, but if you felt that sort of fresh injection within the squad, even just out in the training ground, the players that are here lifting their levels, and obviously the quality that you've added to that?
Yeah, I think firstly the players that had been here all the way through, when we didn't make signings, have been fantastic. You know, if you've seen the level that we were at in pre-season was a really high level at this stage. Those guys then continued that into the league, and then we've brought in other guys to strengthen that. So that puts us in a good place to develop the talents, keep them improving, but also importantly to make them fit into our structure. So yeah, but I think it always brings that new energy when you bring in other players and good players. Then that always helps the squad.
How excited are you about that then?
Very. It's what I've done all my life. I enjoy that aspect of it, the coaching and development. We've got brilliant staff here on the coaching field also who will help these guys improve off the field. They're coming into a great family here at Celtic, and I know, speaking to the guys and the likes of Casper and that, who's been around a long time, you know how excited he is from being here and what he's felt since he's come. So I know the younger players are going to feel that as well. So yeah, it's a really exciting period, but still so early in the season, and we keep our focus on improving.
Just a word on Alistair Johnson reports about maybe contract negotiations going on with him and his representatives. First of all, is that the case, and how important would it be if he was to extend his stay?
Nothing that I'm aware of. I know that, listen, we'd love to have him here for as long as he possibly can, and he's got 3.5 years left on his deal. So and he's playing ever so well. I think now you'd see he's got his power and his strength and his run ability, and now he's in a really, really good place. So of course, naturally, as a manager, we'd want him to be here. But that's something that between his representatives and the club, really.
Just on the international break, obviously you've talked before about the benefits of Callum having a bit of a rest. Was it good for you as a manager as well to have your captain around maybe for a wee bit longer? It's, that relationship as well, and for him to ease the new players in as well.
Yeah, I thought he looked great. He had a few days away. He looked fresh and he looked amazing, to be fair. He was here. He'd done some training, and we gave him some recovery time, and hopefully he can keep this sequence of goals continuing. So yeah, listen, he's absolutely brilliant player for us, and the real leader on the pitch, and yeah, so nice to have him about, but most importantly having him fresh, and now he's ready to go for the next 6 games.
If you'll let me inform about Gordon, it's his first ever Player of the Month award, which we were surprised about, but it just maybe shows what's expected of him. People just expect the consistency that he delivers.
Yeah, I think I'm surprised at that. I never
Don't blame me in case I'm
no,
can't believe he's just.
Oh, you'll be getting a few phone calls, won't you, on the old Monday night or Tuesday night? Hey, he said it.
He confirmed it. We're good. Apparently it is.
Right. It doesn't surprise me up here, to be honest, but it just shows you, because the boys have been at some level. I think what I love about Callum is, and it's also what this club brings you. So being at Celtic, and this is what I'm excited about for these other players, because Celtic's a culture of winning, and to be a winner, there's a process in that, and that process is training. And when you're in the programme for long enough, what you'll be a player that will be super fit, intense and consistent. And that's Callum McGregor. That all comes from being a Celtic player, because you need the intensity to be here, you need the focus, you get that fitness. And that is like the other Celtic boys here, the likes of Tony Ralston, Stephen Welsh, the other boys that have been here, James Forrest. That's what they bring. And Callum, as the captain, really typifies what being a Celtic player is. Performing, consistent. And it does actually surprise me that the level I've known that he's been at when I was up here the first time, and obviously here. So I really hope your fact is correct.
Can I ask you a bit more about Alistair, in terms of you've worked with a lot of top fullbacks in your time. Is he showing signs that he could be one of the top ones that you've worked with going forwards with how he's been playing? Yeah,
there's no doubt. I think he possesses so many qualities. His hunger to win. He has a robustness. He has power. He has strength. He's hard to beat in the 1v1, and he now totally understands how I want to work. So he's now able to release himself, and he can march, and he can go forward, and he can really test the mentality of his marker. And you see him now, he's scoring goals and creating goals. But ultimately, he can defend well. He has that hunger to defend, and he's a really good guy. So really enjoy working with him, and he will still only get better. You think of his journey back home, and then in the MLS, and now to here, being an international player. So he's only going to improve, and I can see that in him in my time here.
You spoke after the Hibs game in the League Cup round about how the counter-pressing really set the platform for you that day. I just wonder how much pride you take in the team's defensive efforts overall. There's obviously so much focus on what you're doing going forward, but at the other side of the pitch, you're keeping it fairly tight as well.
Well, that's the dirty bit that isn't maybe noticed so much from the stands. I think that, but for a coaching perspective and a player's perspective, it's everything. For me, the defensive philosophy coincides with the attacking philosophy. You need to be good in that defensive side and your structure, and that being defensively good means it gives you that opportunity to attack more. And I think that's what we're seeing over the course of this season. That aggression, that winning the duels, winning the second balls, the third balls, all of that dirty stuff is what allows you to attack more. If you neglect that side, you don't attack the same. Why? Because you won't spend the same amount of time on the ball because you're defending more. So the better in your counter pressing, you're better in your defending, the tighter you are, the more aggressive you are, the more synchronised you are, gives you more opportunities to score goals. And that side of it I'm so happy with at the moment.
Do you sense that there's a pride among the players, from back to front, that there's a pride in keeping clean sheets? Because that sometimes gets overlooked. Instinctively the team wants to go forward and score 3 or 4 goals every game, but at the other end there does seem to be an edge to them.
Yeah, and that's the edge that we want to have. I think we made that agreement in the summer that it's defending first, and that's not a negative. That's to attack better. So all the work that we did throughout a pre-season, of course, fine-tuning moments in those games where we could really press well. And listen, you want to keep a clean sheet. That's the ideal, and obviously score loads of goals. But you can't always do that. But we've certainly shown this opening period that is the mantra. And for any of my teams, it always is. To press well allows you to pass the ball well and create opportunities. And thus far, it's been very good.
Can I ask you about back to the international break? Rio Tati going around the world and not getting any minutes I'm guessing the club manager would be delighted with that fact. But is he come back with any sense of frustration, or how is he? Is he all right with that? Is he?
Yeah, I only seen him the other day because he obviously, like you say, I felt a wee bit for him. I'd seen in the first game that he wasn't involved, and obviously Daisan was and scored, which was great. But then he wasn't involved in the second game, and so I was disappointed for him because obviously he'd have gone out there training, but he's travelled and he travels around the world to have the opportunity to play. But he's come back. He's still been positive. On my conversations with him, he's going to work even harder and just try to be as consistent as he possibly can be. So yeah, hopefully that'll be a great motivating factor for him now into this next number of games.
It seems to us kind of strange. We obviously don't watch an awful lot of the Japanese national team, but with Kyogo not getting picked as well and Rio not getting used, it does seem rather kind of strange to a lot of us who watched these two, especially at the start of the season, have had as well. Is a motivating factor then to just keep proving them wrong back at homeland, or is there a concern down the line that might affect their thinking about where their progress is going internationally?
Or they just might have a really, really good squad of players. I think you have to respect that. Japan are a leading country, and they've got some absolutely outstanding players. You look throughout Europe, you look in the Premier League, some top players. So you have to be respectful of that. I think we see them here, and of course you look at Kyogo and you look at his running, and you look at how his game's developing, and he's been sensational really, how he started the season and over the course of pre-season. And Rio, if he can add consistency to his game, then that will elevate his opportunities to play. But we know the good players, and it's not about proving wrong. It's just you just got to prove your point all the time, and then see where it takes you. And hopefully, if they can continue to do that, then they get the opportunities. But if not, we benefit from it in a way because they're fresh. But as I said, it's respecting that Japan probably have a really good squad of players.
Both be made of hearts at the start of the new season. They obviously had a really good time of it last year, but found things a wee bit more difficult this time around.
Yeah, it's in terms of points, it's probably been a challenge for Stephen and obviously European football as well. So in terms of that, but they will improve. I don't have any thoughts other than that they will improve. It's still very early on in the season. I think I'm right in saying Stephen signed a new contract in the summer, so he he feels clearly appreciated and wanted by the club, so they clearly want them and they want them to continue with the work. They're a big club, so they'll be expected to improve. But I'm pretty sure they will. So for me, we just have to be ready for a really good game. We're in the mood to keep our performance level as high as we possibly can. And like I say, making it really, really difficult for them in the game tomorrow.
You said before, Brendan, about part of your job being about keeping the players focused, alleviating the external pressure. But a really big week ahead. Is that more difficult in a week like this when you've got a big game against Hearts, return to domestic football, Champions League, and then obviously the Cup?
I think for people outside and yourselves looking at it and as supporters, and it's amazing week. You do look at you look ahead, but really, and this is the boring side of coaching and managing, you have to really focus on the next game. And it is a mantra you'll have heard, and I can tell you after lots of experience, it really is what we focus on. We haven't mentioned Bratislava. Yes, I've watched them in a number of games in the in the international break, but with regards to the players, no. Our focus is getting everyone back. This is our first day back in together with the whole squad. So we've had to sort of reset and, like I said, recalibrate everything again, and then just focus on our performance tomorrow. Look after that, then we can think of Wednesday. But when you look into the future, it's 3 great games for us in 3 different competitions.
Can I ask about Greg Taylor and his contract situation? Have you got any update there?
No update. I really hope that we can get something organised on that. He's a fantastic player for us. How he makes that position work, how we want it to look. He's first class, so he knows we really want him to stay, and hopefully between his representatives and the club we can organise that, because he is a player that I really rate. I've seen him grow here from the outside looking in, and obviously having the chance to work with him now for over a season. I really like everything about Greg. I love his personality, I love his spirit. I love how he plays the game. Of course, he plays the game like a midfield player, coming from that outside position in. So he really makes it difficult for the opposition. Technically strong, for what would say be smaller in stature. He competes in his duels. He wins headers. So he does a lot of really, really good things in the game, which I really like and really appreciate. So I really hope that we can tie him down. He would be, in this period now, would be a real priority for us to try and get something sorted for him.
Can I ask, Brendan, we've seen this week a development in VAR with Willie Collum coming out and explaining some decisions, getting that transparency, obviously admitting Celtic were on the wrong end of a decision in the first weekend of the season, but as a bigger picture, how helpful do you feel that this will be for the game in Scotland, that Willie does come out here and admit, first of all, the faults, but also the transparency within it?
Yeah, I thought it was great, and listen, at the time I spoke to Willie after the free kick, that because I felt it at the time it was a penalty, so that was in the game, and then I spoke to him on the Monday, and he was very, very good, I have to say. He was very clear on his thoughts, and he said that at the time. Yeah, so I think it can only be applauded. I think the whole thing about transparency is what we want, and he's coming out, he's calling it as it is. He's just come off the field from refereeing, so he knows the temperature in there as an official, and I think his experience will really help. And I know he's trying to have an educational programme in, because there aren't so many top referees up here, and I say that in the nicest way, just in terms of there's guys that are coming through, guys like Wally who have experience, and others will help those guys come through. So I thought it was open, it was honest, and like I say, he can't do that every single weekend. Now your phone lines would be really busy, but he can certainly do it like what they probably plan to do every month or whatever it is. And so I thought it was really good, really honest, and I think also it will help the referees to increase their standard and their level.